All right, artists, I'd like to talk to you about the levels that we had discussed about body fat percentages. And then this is going to be a very generalized, assuming a lot of other things, but it does give a little bit of perspective how to pursue the goals that you might have as far as how you want to look. And so this video will kind of go through some of those very basic generalized body fat percentages, what that would look like on a human being, and hopefully give you a perspective of what it takes discipline-wise to attain that. Now again, there is going to be those outliers who they don't need to be this disciplined, whether they have high metabolisms or whatever it be. There's sometimes people don't have to work in this regard, but this is a very good kind of baseline foundation idea of what it does take to kind of hit and maintain these body fat percentages that we'll go through. So I picked 4 levels. Obviously there's gonna be a lot of in between, but this gives a general idea, and I think it will help people maybe be more realistic in what they should be pursuing. Let's say currently you're at a level 1 and your goal is to be over here at a level 4 for whatever reason. Sometimes that jump can be too much. It might be better to be thinking going from this level to this level, and that might be 1, attainable for you, and then 2, sustainable for you. And then as the years go on, maybe making those jumps to something that you would rather be at. But I think sometimes we get the vision, I want to be here, and we can get discouraged along that journey because it's so far removed from where you currently find yourself. So let's jump in. Level 1 is where women would be at 25% to 31% body fat, and men would be carrying at about 18 to 24% body fat. I'll show some pictures of what that could look like, and so you have an idea, but some of the disciplines that you have to maintain is, at this level, you could, or you probably are, still eating breads and sugars at most of your meal. Now that could look like you go to a fast food restaurant, they put your burger on a, you have the bread patties on both sides. So this could be looking like maybe for a lunch you made yourself a PBJ or a ham sandwich, turkey sandwich, something like that. You probably are still eating breads and simple sugars, snacking here and there at most of your meals. Your proportion control is pretty decent at this level though, so you're not going to be in that point where you're getting obese, but you still are carrying quite a bit of body fat. Now this is an average level. At this point you still can be fairly healthy if you're working out 1 to 3 times a week. And you are at this point though still making a lot of excuses of why you are the way you are, perhaps, or not working out. I don't want to go today. I'm tired. I ate it because a lot of those words are coming out of the mouth at this level, still making excuses for not being at maybe these later levels, if that's your goal. Now, like I said, you can be healthy here. There's nothing wrong with being at this level, perhaps, but if your goal is to look a certain way, and you are currently carrying here, you're probably making excuses why you're still there. So moving to the next level, level 2, women are carrying at 21 to 24% body fat, men are carrying at 14 to 17%. At this point, you're still probably eating breads and snacking every so often, maybe at 1 to 2 meals a day, maybe 3 times a week. So you're not always eating breads. You actually have a conscious thought to avoid those, but you are giving yourself a little bit of grace to still do that. And you do understand timing of meals, eating probably 4 to 6 times a day with proper proportions and calorie intake. Now this is just saying you understand that when you eat does matter, keeping your insulin levels at a maintainable or a level that is healthy and not spiking them and then dropping. So you should be at energy level wise pretty good when you're carrying at this point. This would be like general fitness, so you're not necessarily like a competitive athlete. This would be like where most CrossFitters usually want to try to be, for sure, if not a little bit below this. But this is a decent spot as far as fitness goes. Certain days you'll probably wake up and see your abs. Some days you may not, but at this point you are doing pretty good. And you're working out probably 3 to 6 times a week, and you're making excuses less often, but still they randomly come out. So you're not the most disciplined person on the planet per se, but you do have some things going in regards to the positive side, avoiding breads and sugars, making sure you're timing your meals, eating enough food in a day, and proportion controls there, and your calorie intake is where it should be. You're not overeating at that point. Now you jump to the next level, level 3. This is usually, if not here or here, but maybe somewhere in between, is usually the photos that we put up on a refrigerator. So if you're currently over here, or even one step beyond that where you're actually obese, these levels are usually our goal, but you can see how far removed the discipline is, because at this point you're rarely eating breads and sugars. So if you're going to eat lunch, you're not eating a sandwich generally. You're eating actual, only snacking at parties, generally speaking. So a birthday party happens, you might allow yourself to have a cake. You're not that intense that you avoid it at all costs, but you are not on your own time doing it hardly ever. Veggies and lean meats are the foundation of your nutrition and eating every day. You understand that fat intake has a benefit. A lot of times you'll hear people in this range avoid actual fats, like, well, I don't want to eat fat because I'll get fat, and that's just so inaccurate. So at this point you're understanding that those actually do help brain function and metabolize certain things going on. So working out probably 4 to 6 times a week at this point. You have a disciplined schedule, and that would mean you're sleeping properly, eating properly, water intakes there, you're resting to let your body recover as needed, etc. And you're making no excuses. You come in and you do the work and you leave and you know the benefits of everything. So very, very little excuses there, probably no excuses at this point. You're going to be really lean and looking good at that level. The next tier is what we would call essential body fat. You need this to survive. Women being at 10 to 13% and men at 2 to 5%. This is usually what you see like bodybuilders be on the day of competition. Very low body fat. To get to that, you're not eating any sugars, generally speaking. Like I said, there are those outliers. They can do this for whatever reason, but generally speaking, you're avoiding sugars. Basically lean white meat, so you might get like some white fish, chicken, maybe a little bit of turkey in there. Veggies and low grain intake all the time. So your meals are pretty much the same all the time. You're eating lean meats, veggies, maybe a little bit of rice or quinoa, something like that. So intake's pretty much the same. You never miss a day working out. You're always on point. Your schedule is dictated and you do it. This is unsustainable for a long haul. It's very hard to carry at that forever, but for competition purposes, people can get down there. Maybe the day that you go to the beach, you might try to get there so that you look just shredded. But generally speaking, somewhere here, if not maybe just a little bit below, is probably more realistically what people try to attain to. But again, if you're finding yourself here or even a step below, you can see how this could be discouraging to try to get over here if you're not even close to it. So jumping up a tier might be the best thing. Try to hit these points and see if you can't change your body and start to look a little bit more like you want to and feel the way that you want to. So that's just a quick brush over. I think that's important, understanding that discipline is needed to get to the levels of accomplishment that you feel like you want. And maybe this gets you a little bit more perspective to stop being as discouraged, like I'll never make it, I'll never make it. Maybe just take one jump up and you find yourself actually attaining the goals that you want. This could be a journey. It's not just I've seen so many times people do 3 months, 6 months, 90 days, and they change their body really quick, but they're not doing it in a realistic, disciplined way, and then it ends up going back to being even worse off than they started. So maybe they were at this point when they started, they got down to here very quickly with a lot of, I'm not going to say cheating, but with disciplines that are unsustainable for the long haul, and then they end up even worse than that and go to being obese. This happens all the time. So this hopefully gives you perspective. Pursue something that is more attainable, and then make the next jump, then make the next jump. And I think you'll be much happier with yourself. You'll actually see yourself accomplishing your goals, and people will notice as well, and you'll be able to sustain it, hopefully, for your lifetime. Have a good day.